Welcome to my channel, Most Worth Coins WC, where history lives in your hands. If you're passionate about rare coins, vintage currency, and the fascinating stories behind them, you're in the right place. Don't forget to watch the full video, share it with your fellow collectors, like and subscribe to stay updated with more valuable content every week. So, let's get started. The 1992 United Kingdom to Pence to P coin is a small yet meaningful piece of modern British coinage that belongs to the decimal series. Introduced in 1971 as part of the nation's broader monetary overhaul, the obverse of the coin features a right-facing portrait of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, sculpted by Raphael Makhlouf, a renowned British sculptor whose effigy of the Queen appeared on UK coins from 1985 until 1997. This particular depiction of the Queen is regal and iconic, with the monarch wearing the George IV state diadem, complete with jewels and a lace veil, capturing the dignity of her reign in detailed relief. Around the portrait is the familiar Latin inscription, Elizabeth Cadua, Dei Reg, FD 1992. This stands for Elizabeth II Dei, Gratia Regina Fidei Def, which translates as Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This abbreviated phrase is traditional on British coinage and reflects the monarchy's divine right and role within the Church of England. The date, 1992, appears at the bottom, marking the year of mintage. The reverse of the 1992 to Pence coin features the classic design created by Christopher Ironside, the original artist behind much of the decimal coinage introduced in the early 1970s. At the center of the design lies the badge of the Prince of Wales, consisting of 3 ostrich feathers emerging from a single coronet. This symbolic motif has long been associated with the title of the Prince of Wales and was first adopted in the 14th century by Edward, the Black Prince. Below the coronet is a ribbon bearing the German motto, Ich diene, which translates to, I serve, reinforcing the heir apparent's duty to the realm. Encircling the design are the words to Pence, clearly indicating the denomination. Though earlier coins minted in 1971 and some subsequent years used the text New Pence, the Royal Mint reverted to 2 pence in 1982 to reflect the denomination's integration into daily life and move away from the transitional language of new decimal coinage. A significant change occurred in the production of UK coinage in 1982, as it marked the transition in metal composition for the 1p and 2p coins. Until 1992, 2 pence coins had been minted in bronze, a copper alloy that gave the coin a distinct reddish-brown appearance and a heavier feel. However, due to rising copper prices and the need to economize on metal resources, the Royal Mint shifted the composition to copper-plated steel in 1992. As a result, coins minted from that year onward are magnetic, unlike their earlier bronze counterparts. This change is of numismatic importance, as it marks the beginning of a new phase in the coin's life cycle. Both bronze and copper-plated steel variants of the 1992 2p coin exist, although the bronze version is considerably less common. Collectors often use a magnet to distinguish between the two. From a historical perspective, the 1992 2 pence coin is a product of a relatively peaceful and stable period in British history. The UK was part of the European Union, then called the European Economic Community, and the early 1990s were a time of both economic struggles such as the fallout from the early 1990s recession and political change, including debates over Britain's role in Europe. Although these larger themes are not immediately reflected in coinage, coins serve as cultural artifacts, and the 2p coin from 1992 quietly carried symbols of continuity, the monarchy, the tradition of heraldic imagery, and the daily economic life of the public. It was commonly used in transactions and often seen in change across Britain, reinforcing the coin's role as both a utilitarian object and a national emblem. From a numismatic and collector's standpoint, the 1992 to Pence coin is generally considered a circulating issue with high mintage, meaning it is not particularly rare in the general sense. However, bronze 1992 2p coins, as mentioned earlier, are significantly scarcer than their copper-plated steel counterparts and can command a premium among serious collectors. Condition also plays a major role in determining value. Coins in mint, state MS or uncirculated condition, particularly those sealed in presentation sets or proof sets, are more desirable than those worn from circulation. Coins with strong luster, minimal contact marks, and full details on the Queen's portrait and the Prince of Wales badge tend to fetch higher prices, especially if they are of the earlier bronze alloy. This coin remains legal tender in the UK, although in practical use, the 2 pence piece has increasingly become associated with low-value transactions or even symbolic events like penny drives or charity jars. Despite this, it holds a kind of nostalgic and cultural value, particularly to those who remember the early decades of decimal currency and the symbols that defined modern British coinage. The Raphael Maclove portrait of the Queen would later be replaced by Ian Rank Rodley's design in 1998, so 1992 lies firmly within the era of Maclove's dignified, idealized effigy. In summary, the 1992 UK to Pence coin, bearing the inscription Elizabeth II DG, Reg, FD 1992, is a reflection of a monarch's enduring legacy, the evolution of British coinage materials, and the quiet elegance of traditional design elements that connect modern currency with centuries-old heraldry. Whether found in a coin jar, a collector's binder, or a Royal Mint presentation folder, this modest copper-tone disc embodies the continuity of the crown, the modernization of Britain's economy, and the hidden stories that live within the nation's pocket change. The 1999 United Kingdom to Pence to P coin, bearing the inscription Elizabeth II DG, Reg FD 1999, represents a small but notable piece of modern British numismatic history, combining traditional elements of British heraldry with changes in material composition and subtle shifts in royal portraiture. Despite its diminutive face value, the 2p coin remains a symbolic and functional unit in British currency. And the 1999 issue continues the long legacy of decimal coinage introduced in 1971. By the close of the 20th century, the coin had become a familiar sight in the pockets and purses of millions across the United Kingdom, still routinely used in transactions, public vending machines, charity collections, and more. On the obverse, or front face, the coin features the third definitive portrait of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, created by British sculptor Raphael used from 1985 until 1997, and continued on some coins, minted in 1998 and 1999 for denominations that had not yet transitioned to the newer design. This portrait captures the Queen in a dignified and idealized manner. She is portrayed wearing the George IV state diadem, a regal crown adorned with roses, thistles, and shamrock symbols of England, Scotland, and Ireland respectively. Her Majesty's hair is carefully styled, and the lace veil tucked behind her head adds a layer of delicate detail that showcases Maclove's artistic vision. This portrayal is more stylized and formal than later versions, offering a sense of timeless majesty rather than age or realism. Surrounding the portrait is the Latin inscription Elizabeth II D, G Reg FD, 1999, which translates as Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This phrase is steeped in monarchical tradition and has graced British coins for centuries, serving as a symbolic assertion of both secular and spiritual authority. Turning to the reverse, the 1999 2p coin retains the original design introduced in 1971 by Christopher Ironside, the British artist and designer who played a foundational role in the development of the decimal series. At the center is the badge of the Prince of Wales, consisting of 3 ostrich feathers emerging from a coronet, a design with deep roots dating back to the 14th century. This emblem was first adopted by Edward, the Black Prince, and has remained associated with the heir to the throne ever since. Beneath the feathers lies a ribbon bearing the German phrase Ich diene, which translates to I serve. The phrase emphasizes the duty of the Prince of Wales to serve the crown and the people, a motto of service rather than authority. Around this central motif is the denomination to pence, clearly indicating the coin's value. Although coins from 1971 to 1981 bore the wording New Pence, this was changed in 1982 as decimal currency became fully integrated into British life, eliminating the need for the transitional new designation. From a technical and compositional perspective, by 1999, the coin had long since transitioned from its original bronze alloy, used from 1971 through 1991, to a more cost-effective copper-plated steel composition. The rising price of copper during the late 20th century made the continued use of bronze unsustainable for law-denomination coins, prompting the Royal Mint to introduce magnetic copper-plated steel in 1992. The 1999 2p coin, therefore, is magnetic and lighter than its bronze predecessors, though it retains the familiar reddish-brown appearance due to its outer copper layer. This shift is significant from a numismatic standpoint, as it marks the evolution of British coinage materials in response to economic pressures, while keeping visual consistency intact. A simple magnet can reveal whether a 2p coin is of the earlier non-magnetic bronze or the post-1992 copper-plated steel variant, though mass-produced and intended for everyday use. The 1999 2p coin exists within a historical and cultural framework that gives it meaning beyond its monetary value. It was minted during a time of technological advancement, economic transition, and the nearing of the millennium. In 1999, Britain was experiencing the early phases of digital revolution, the build-up to the Y2K phenomenon, and active debates surrounding the UK's relationship with Europe. Yet, despite such modern developments, the coin's design remained deeply rooted in centuries-old heraldry and royal symbolism. This continuity between the ancient and the modern is part of what makes British coinage so distinctive. The badge of the Prince of Wales, still used even in the age of satellites and mobile phones, ties the nation to its historical institutions and royal lineage. The mintage figures for 1999 are high, as the 2p was produced in large quantities for circulation, making it a common coin in everyday use. As such, its base value remains nominal. However, coins in uncirculated or proof condition, particularly those included in Royal Mint annual coin sets, may hold greater interest for collectors. The Maklov portrait would soon be replaced by the more realistic and mature design by Ian, ranked broadly, which debuted in 1998 for some coins, and fully took over across all denominations by 2000. Therefore, the 1999 2p coin represents one of the last years in which the Maklov effigy appeared on this denomination, giving it modest numismatic significance as a transitional issue in daily life. The 2p coin has often been seen as a humble and sometimes overlooked denomination, frequently gathered in jars or used for small purchases. Yet coins such as the 1999 issue embody the national identity, royal heritage, and practical innovation of their time. Whether flipped on a pub counter for a game, collected in a school savings jar, or archived in a collector's album, the 1999 2p coin is both ordinary and meaningful. It tells a quiet story of continuity and change, tradition and adaptation, simplicity and symbolism, all within its small copper circle.